Good morning. Yes, this is Professor Asif Iqbal Mullah. So, in this session, we are going to discuss about the embedded operating system based approach for firmware design. So, in the last session, we discussed a super loop based approach for firmware design. So, in a super loop based design for firmware, we discussed that it is having a sequential programming. So, task there is executed sequentially one after another, and that we are utilizing for the applications where the time is not critical. So for the time critical, for embedded system where the time is critical and scheduling is required for the tasks, in such embedded systems we are embedded system design, we utilized the operating system based approach. Here the operating system based approach, here you can see the operating system based approach contains operating systems which can be either a general purpose operating system or a real time operating system. So in a general purpose operating system based design is very similar to conventional PC based application development, where the device contains an operating system. So here the device contain the operating system such as Windows, Unix, Linux, etc. for the desktop PC, right? Similar for general purpose operating system used in embedded product development in Microsoft Windows XP embedded, right? Our example for embedded product Microsoft Windows XP OS are PDAs, personal digital assistant, where we are using Windows XP embedded Microsoft designed by Microsoft, and we are using in handheld devices, portable devices, point of sale terminals, as well as we can we are using Windows XP in a smartphone today, and also we are using Android operating system in a smartphone, right? We also using iOS in an iPhone, that is iPhone operating system. So those are the example for general purpose operating systems utilizing for the embedded system, right? For developing applications on top of OS, the OS supports APIs, application program interfaces it supports, right? So those APIs help us to interface between operating system and applications, right? So similar to the your different hardware specific drivers, OS based applications also use driver softwares for the different hardware present, means it uses a driver software, right? So that driver software help us to interface with our external hardware to the our system, right? So the another type of the operating system we utilize in embedded systems are RTOS, that is a real time operating system. It uses in a real time embedded systems, right? This type of approach is employed embedded product demanding the real-time response. So in the we already discussed what is the real-time operating system, means what is the real-time embedded systems. So in real-time embedded system, their time is very critical, right, and the response time should be very quick, right, demanding the real response time, right? So such as we discussed that embedded system, that is airbag control embedded system in a in a car or several other real-time operating system which we are using in the aviation, in a plane, right? So they are utilizing many embedded system which are real-time embedded system. There we are using real-time operating system, that is RTOL. Real-time operating system contains the real-time kernel responsible for performing the preemptive multitasking. It will responsible for performing the multitasking, scheduling, you see, scheduling task, multiple threads, etc. Right? So therefore RTOS allows us to flexible the scheduling of the system resources like a CPU, memory, and offer some way to communicate between the task. So this is what we have a real-time operating system. Several example for the real-time operating system is Windows CE, PSOS, VxWorks, ThreadX, Micro C bar OS second, OS 2, embedded Linux, okay, Symbian, etc. are the example for RTOS. So mobile phones PDS, you see PDS which is based on Windows CE, Windows mobile platform. Handheld devices, etc. are the example for the embedded product based on the RTOS, right? Okay, so this is about a operating system based approach for firmware design. So next, our next topic is embedded firmware development languages. See, here we have a use several language to design the embedded firmware. So mainly we can say that mainly it is categorized in the three language. One is the machine level language, then we have assembly level language, and then we have a high level language, and some utilizes the combination of assembly level language and a high level language. So first we'll discuss about the assembly level language based development. Okay, so assembly, see, this is firmware design based on the languages, right? So assembly language is the human readable notation of the machine language, whereas the machine language is the processor understandable language. See machine level language, we already discussed that what is machine level language, right? And we already discussed what is assembly level language. Just I'll give here some points here about the machine level language, assembly level language. See, assembly level language is written in mnemonics, right? Written in mnemonics, which can be read by human using some English language, right? So it is the same as the machine level language. Machine level language, right, we are writing in using number zeros and ones, whereas assembly level language we can writing using a mnemonics. That is the difference. Both are same, right? So therefore we can say assembly level program is the task for writing the processor specific machine code in a mnemonics form. That's all. So converting the mnemonics form into actual processor instructions and associate with the data using a assembler. We are using assembler to convert that mnemonics into the machine level language, which is written in zeros and ones. And several points is here given for the assembly level language, which is you already know that the popular, so you see, even in 1980s the majority of the console video games are written in the assembly level language. We are writing the firmware for the console video games in assembly level language. The popular arcade game NBA Jam, released in 1993, was written in assembly level language, and so on. Many examples are there, embedded system where we are writing our firmware for the embedded system in assembly level language. So very rarely we are using assembly level language today to write, to design a firmware for the system. So most of the designer using today embedded C, which is a high level language to design, or today we are using Python, Linux also to design firmware. Those languages, high level languages, we are using to design a firmware, right? I see here the general format for assembly level language instruction is opcode, right? Opcode and operand. You studied that in 8085, you studied in 8086 is you studied how we write the instruction for the assembly level language. It is having a you see, it is having a opcode, operand, comment, and label. What is label? You know that label we are using while we are using jump instructions, or while we are using subroutines, call operation, we are using a labels, the labels which define where we have to jump, where we have to go in the program, right? When call and jump is occur, right? So the label we also use to define start of the subroutine and end of the subroutine, start of the procedure or end of the procedure, right? So here opcode, you know that opcodes are mnemonics such as a move, add, sub are the opcode, and operands, we know that operands we here is several instruction having no operand instruction such as increment, inc, dec in 8086, right? Sorry, increment A, increment B in 8086 are one operand instruction. You having one operand there, such as move A comma hash for 30 40, or move instruction. It is a two operand instruction, and several, that is a instruction we have such as a no operation, NOP instruction, which is no operand instruction, and we have a instruction such as jump instruction. Jump not 0 to the label is a 3 operand instruction, having their address as its operand, means 3 byte instruction. It is having a 3 byte instruction, but it is having a operand as a address there. So several instructions are there which you already studied, and comments also, you know that comments is not a mandatory, it is an optional. This is comments we are using to define what is the instruction doing, right? Such as we have here example djnz r1 comma delay here is a label, djnz nz is a opcode, move is opcode, r0 and hash 255 is all operand, right? So this you already studied, right? I no need to explain much about here, right? So here see, to write the assembly level language in we are using several assemblers, such as in 8051 we are using a Keil software, and for 8086 we are using a MASM, right? So those are the software we are utilizing to write this assembly level language, and to simulate it and to compile it, and those assembler we are using to convert this assembly level language into its machine level language, or in the form of hex, right? Hex file, right? So you can see here so how we convert this the assembly level language into a the hex file or machine file which we are loading into our chip. So here you can see so source file 1, source file 2 are the two files we have which is written in assembly level language, that is .asm or a .src file, which we are using modular assembler. We convert this into the object file, such as we you see in the MASM, we are typing the file name .asm, means MASM file name .asm, a command which compile check the error. If there is no error, it will convert that .asm file into .obj file, right? The file name .obj will be obj file, that is object file. So once you convert this in the object file, then you have to link that with the some library file, and as well as you can see the object file is not having a proper location, address location. We need to locate it into its proper address. So to locate or to link some library files with this object file, which is we require some library files must be linked with the object file to make this file into a executable file. We call it is absolute object file, which is having absolute address, right? These object file does not have a absolute address. Locator or a linker locate this into the absolute address, and that will become executable file. So if you want to load this file into a dump this file or load this file into a chip, right? So then you need to convert this absolute object file into a hex file, right? So here using the same assembler, we convert this into the hex file. So that hex file represents a machine level language, which is that we are loading into our chip, right? This is about how assembly language to machine language conversion process, right? So here you can read that. See here, if you so here if you here we have a several source files to be combined. If you in several applications, we are creating several source file to design whole firmware. So several source file, later it is combined together, right? So the variables and the functions we are utilizing in one source file, we use in another source file. To link it, to share it, we are using a public and extern command, right? Which is also you learned in 8086. What is the public command, what is the extern command? Public command, which allows you to share the functions and the variables which is in the one source file, and extern command we are utilizing to import that the variables and function which is defined public in another source file. So those are the things you already studied in detail. So once again you read it in detail, right? So then you can easily understand, right? So all those things, steps, right? Here it is given how to convert object file to hex file, linker to locator, and what is a library file creation and usage, right? These all the things we already studied several times, right? So those things you have to read it, you can easily understand this, right? So next our next topic will go for high level language based development, right? So for that we'll see you in the next session. Till then, you take care, be safe, stay in home and enjoy. Thank you.